She laughed and said, "Nobody's forcing you to stay," when I questioned her flirty behavior. I nodded and said, "Good to know." What I did after that left her begging me to come back, but by then, I was long gone. What she found waiting at home. She smiled, sipped her drink, and with a shrug said, "Nobody's forcing you to stay." Like it was the most casual thing in the world. Like the past year of our relationship meant absolutely nothing. That one sentence shattered everything. See, I had only asked her, calmly, why she thought it was okay to flirt so openly in front of me at that party. She laughed in my face. Not because it was funny, but because she didn't care. And right then, I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I didn't even flinch. I just nodded and said, "Good to know." But inside, I was already gone. Because when someone shows you exactly how little they value you, you don't wait around to convince them otherwise. You get smart. You get quiet. You move with purpose. And what I did after that. It didn't just end the relationship. It exposed everything fake she built around it. And when she walked back into the house, expecting me to be there, she found something else waiting. Something that made her realize what gone really feels like. I should have seen it coming the second we walked through the door. The lights were dim, music loud, and her friends were already a few drinks in, laughing too loudly at things that weren't that funny. But I was there, trying, smiling, present. I thought I was supporting her, stepping into her world, showing up for her the way a boyfriend is supposed to. But from the moment I stepped in, I didn't feel like her partner. I felt like background noise. Like I was just something she brought along to check a box. She introduced me quickly, too quickly, to her circle. Names I'd heard her talk about endlessly. But that night, I might as well have been invisible. Conversations swirled around me but never toward me. I'd try to join in, and they'd brush right past me, as if my words didn't land. And she didn't help. She didn't bridge the gap. She didn't make space for me. She just laughed louder, leaned into inside jokes I didn't know, and slipped further away from me with every drink she downed. I stood there, holding a half-warm beer, pretending to be amused while they flirted and teased and made little jokes that I didn't understand, some that were clearly about me. One guy even asked her if she was still tied down, and instead of shutting him down, she giggled and said, "Don't start with me," like she wanted the attention. She let it hang there, like I wasn't even standing next to her. Like I wasn't worth defending. That's when it hit me. I wasn't her guest at this party. I was a prop. A placeholder boyfriend. Someone she kept around for status, not substance. I thought we were building something real. But standing there, surrounded by laughter that I didn't belong to and smiles that weren't for me, I realized I was just scenery in her social life. And for the first time, I saw the ugly truth of it. She didn't bring me to be with me. She brought me so she could show off how little she needed me. When we got home from the party, I didn't come in swinging. I wasn't storming around or making accusations. I was calm, maybe too calm. I'd spent the entire night swallowing my pride, watching her brush off every line of respect I thought we'd built. But I told myself, don't lose it. Just talk to her. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe she didn't realize how it looked. Maybe she'd explain it in a way that made sense. So I sat on the edge of the bed while she changed out of her dress, humming to herself like the night had been perfect. I waited until she looked up in the mirror and gently asked, "Hey, can I ask you something without it turning into a fight?" She gave me that look, half distracted, half bored, and said, "Sure." So I asked. Not accusing, not angry, just straight up honest. I said, "Do you think it's okay to let someone flirt with you in front of your boyfriend? Because that's how tonight felt. Like you didn't shut it down. Like you wanted it." She turned around slowly, blinking like she couldn't believe I'd even brought it up. "Are you serious right now?" she asked, smirking. I nodded. "Yeah, I am." Then she laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not an awkward, I don't know what to say, kind of laugh. This was cruel. Dismissive. She rolled her eyes and said, "God, you're so sensitive." It was harmless. You really need to chill. I tried to hold it together, but something inside me cracked a little. So it didn't bother you at all? That guy basically asked if you were single. She shrugged, tossing her earrings on the dresser. Nobody's forcing you to stay, you know. That sentence hit harder than anything else that night. Nobody's forcing you to stay. That's when I realized this wasn't miscommunication. This was who she was. Someone who got a thrill out of attention, even if it disrespected the person she claimed to care about. And when I voiced that discomfort, she didn't apologize. She mocked me. She laughed at me. And she reminded me that the door was always there if I had a problem. Her words rang in my ears long after she said them. Nobody's forcing you to stay. At first, I thought it was just a knee-jerk reaction, something said in frustration, maybe even defensiveness. But the way she said it, like it was a joke. Like I was overreacting for expecting basic respect. That's when something shifted in me. I didn't argue back. I didn't shout or slam doors. I just nodded, said, "Good to know." And in that moment, the way I saw her changed forever. She had drawn a line, made her stance clear. If I had a problem with her behavior, or with how comfortable she was letting other men flirt with her right in front of me, then I was welcome to walk away. No compromise. No conversation. Just leave. And maybe she thought I wouldn't. Maybe she thought I was too hooked, too invested, too soft. But what she didn't realize is that men like me don't always fight fire with fire. Sometimes, we fight with silence. With patience. With strategy. I didn't pack a bag that night. I didn't give her the satisfaction of a dramatic exit. What I did instead was start planning. Not just to leave, but to leave in a way that would be unforgettable. I wanted her to feel exactly what she made me feel. Small, replaceable, ignored. But I wasn't going to cheat. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to break windows or burn clothes. I was going to make her realize just how much space I held in that house. How much comfort, effort, and presence I brought to her life that she had taken for granted. I was going to leave such a void that the silence itself would scream louder than anything I could ever say. So over the next few days, I played it cool. I acted normal. Smiled. Helped with the dishes. Slept next to her like nothing had changed. But slowly, piece by piece, I started taking my world back. Removing traces of myself from the home. Changing passwords. Backing up my files. Preparing to disappear not with a bang, but with a whisper that echoed long after I was gone. She had said I was free to leave. So I made it my mission to show her what that freedom really cost. She thought she was clever, untouchable, even. After all, she had the charm, the confidence, and a circle of people who constantly validated her behavior. So when she flirted in front of me again a few days later, louder this time, more blatant, I just watched. She leaned in too close to some guy at the bar, laughing like a schoolgirl, letting her hand rest on his arm longer than necessary. Every gesture, every glance, it was a performance. A show meant to provoke me, to test me, to see how far she could push before I snapped. But I didn't flinch. I didn't storm out. I didn't even blink. I smiled. Not because I was okay with it, but because I knew something she didn't. The clock was ticking. Every time she crossed another line, she was burying herself deeper. And I just sat back and let her do it. She interpreted my silence as weakness. She thought I didn't care. That I was too afraid to lose her. But in reality, I had already emotionally checked out. I had already started unhooking myself from her world, like a diver removing his oxygen line before swimming up to the surface. And with every smug little smirk she gave me, every fake innocent, "What? We were just talking," she was giving me more reason to execute my plan without guilt. I watched her laugh with her friends and brag about how unbothered she was, how secure our relationship was because I didn't get jealous. She didn't realize I wasn't being secure. I was being surgical. I was documenting her patterns, her carelessness, her disregard. She was giving me all the material I needed to disappear without warning and leave her drowning in the emptiness she created. And I have to admit, There was a certain satisfaction in watching her build the walls of her own downfall, brick by brick, with that same smug expression she wore when she told me, "Nobody's forcing you to stay." She thought she had the upper hand. But she never noticed how quiet I'd become. How still. Because the thing about silence is, it's never just silence. Sometimes, it's a countdown. It wasn't a rant. It wasn't dramatic. It was precise. The moment I decided I was done, I didn't go on some wild revenge spree. I just wrote a single message. One quiet little text that I knew would tear through her image like a blade through paper. I didn't need volume. I needed timing. And trust me, the timing was perfect. The message wasn't even sent to her. No, that would have given her the chance to twist it, spin it, do damage control. I sent it to someone else, one of her closest friends. The kind that believes in girl code, loyalty, transparency. The kind of friend she always bragged about having, since forever. That's exactly who I needed. Because that friend. She didn't just drink the Kool-Aid, she stirred it, served it, and posted about it on Instagram. Here's what I sent. You've always been kind to me, so I thought you should see this. I'm not trying to start anything. I just realized I've been the punchline for too long. And you deserve to know what's being said when you're not in the room. Then I attached one screenshot. Not one of the ones where they mocked me. Not the one where she called me clingy or too emotional. No, I sent the one where she roasted that very friend. Mocked her voice, her outfit, her boyfriend. Called her a codependent leech, and said she only hung out with her because she made her look better in photos. I didn't say anything else. Didn't follow up. Just let the truth do its work. Within 5 minutes, I saw the friend read the message. Then, the typing bubbles appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. I didn't get a reply. I didn't need one. I already knew how this would go. That one screenshot was going to do more damage than any confrontation ever could. Because now the suspicion was there. The doubt. The quiet little voice in her friend's head saying, "What else has she said about me?" And when that seed is planted, it spreads fast. That night, the group chat didn't pop off with memes or brunch plans. It exploded with question marks. With icy silence. With people leaving, one by one. Her perfect little clique started to fracture, and she didn't even know why yet. All because of one text. One truth. And the silence that followed. The next morning, she woke up like it was just another day. Stretching, yawning, scrolling her phone like the world owed her peace. She didn't notice my side of the bed was empty. She didn't notice the air in the apartment had shifted. What she did notice, about 10 seconds later, was the complete and utter silence coming from her phone. No group chat buzzing. No heart emojis. No dumb memes or inside jokes lighting up her screen. Just nothing. At first, she shrugged it off. Thought maybe they were just sleeping in, or busy. But then she opened the group chat, and that's when I saw it in her face. Confusion. Panic. Her brows tightened. Her lips parted like she was about to ask a question no one could answer. Because what she found was a graveyard. Dozens of messages, none of them directed at her. Just cold statements, screenshots, and then exits. People leaving the chat. People she once swore were her family. Her best friend? Gone. Another girl she constantly gassed up online? Quietly dipped. And in the middle of it all, there were her own words, thrown back at her like knives. She turned to me, her voice already cracking. Did something happen? I didn't flinch. I didn't gloat. I just looked her in the eyes and said, "Looks like the group chat isn't feeling very loyal today." Her hands trembled as she opened more messages. One after the other, they confirmed what she feared. They knew. They saw everything. The betrayal wasn't just a suspicion, it was documented. The exact phrases she once typed with smug fingers were now destroying the castle she thought she'd built out of loyalty and brunches. She clutched her phone like it might erase the messages if she held it tight enough. Her breathing got faster. Her lips started to move but couldn't form words. Because this wasn't just drama. This was social exile. She was watching in real time, as everything she thought was hers, every ride or die, every fake compliment, every carefully curated friendship, burned to the ground. And I didn't lift a finger. She did it all herself. I just let the silence do the talking. She sat there, phone in hand, blinking rapidly like maybe, just maybe, she was still asleep and this was some awful dream. But reality didn't wait. The flood of silence and absence on her screen hit harder than any angry message ever could. And when she realized what she was looking at, screenshots of her own messages, people leaving without goodbye, and passive-aggressive Instagram stories painting her as the villain, that confusion on her face started morphing into something darker. Desperation. She tried texting them. First her bestie, the one she always called her sister. "Hey babe, can we talk?" I think something got twisted. No reply. Message read. No typing bubble. She tried another, "I don't know what you saw, but it's not what it looks like." Still nothing. Then a call. Straight to voicemail. Her hand started to shake. That's when she lost her composure. She stood up, pacing now. One hand clutched her head while the other gripped her phone like it was her only lifeline. I could hear her muttering, "What the hell is going on? Why is everyone acting like this?" And I just stood there, watching from the kitchen, sipping my coffee like I was at a show I'd seen coming a mile away. She turned to me, voice trembling. "Did you see any of this last night? Someone leaked stuff, someone hacked me or something." She was grasping now, trying to put together a version of the story where she wasn't the bad guy. Where this wasn't her fault. I didn't answer right away. Just raised an eyebrow and said, "Funny. Maybe it's karma catching up." That's when the real panic hit. She started typing frantically into the group chat. Paragraphs. Apologies. Excuses. I was venting. It was taken out of context. "You know I love you guys." But the damage was done. The silence she handed me the night of that party, it had grown teeth. And now, it was hers to suffer in. Her desperation didn't come from heartbreak. It came from losing control. And for the first time, I think she realized. She couldn't spin this into a joke. She looked at me like I was her last hope. Hair a mess, mascara smudged, phone clutched in her hand like it held the pieces of her crumbling world. Her voice cracked when she said my name, soft, pleading. "Can we talk? Please. I don't know what's going on. Everyone's turning on me. I didn't mean those things like that. You know me, right? But the truth? I didn't know her. Not anymore." Or maybe, for the first time, I was seeing exactly who she'd been all along. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't even sigh. I just looked at her with the kind of calm that scared her more than anger ever could. Because in that moment, she saw it in my eyes. I was done. Completely, irreversibly done. The version of me that wanted to fight for her, explain to her, beg her to understand, that version was gone. She kept talking, rambling, trying to fill the silence. I was stressed. They pushed me into those conversations. It was just jokes. You know how girls talk. "Babe, please. You're the one thing that makes sense to me right now. Please don't leave me like this." But every word was too late. I had given her every chance, every look, every pause, every moment of vulnerability at that dinner party, and she used it to laugh, to humiliate, to perform. And now that her stage was gone and the audience had vanished, suddenly she wanted to rewrite the script. But I wasn't in the mood for rewrites. I was already packed, emotionally, mentally, and as of that morning, physically too. My keys were in my jacket. My shoes were by the door. And her meltdown was doing nothing to stop me from walking through it. She reached out, her hand brushing my arm like it could pull me back. But I didn't move. "Why are you being like this?" she whispered, like I was the one being heartless. So I gave her the same clarity she once gave me, cold and straight to the point. Because I saw everything. And now, I don't need to explain anything. Her face crumpled like she'd been slapped by reality. But I wasn't being cruel. I was just being done. And done is quiet, unshakable, final. She came home expecting a fight. Or maybe a cold shoulder. She thought I'd still be there, stewing in silence, waiting for her to say the right thing to win me back. But what she walked into was something else entirely, something she hadn't prepared for. The apartment wasn't just empty. It felt hollow, like someone had taken all the warmth with them. Because I had. The couch where we used to sit together? Clear. No blanket tossed over the back, no hoodie I'd left behind. The dresser? Half empty. My side of the closet? Cleaned out. The bathroom shelf where my cologne and razor used to sit? There. And in the center of the kitchen table, where we once laughed over late-night noodles or argued over takeout menus, there was just one thing, her phone. Face up. Lit up. With one notification after another pouring in. Silent now, but damning. Next to the phone was the final note I ever intended to leave her. Simple. Unemotional. Just the truth in black ink. You said if I had a problem, I should leave. So I did. I didn't take anything that wasn't mine, except my self-respect. What's left behind? Just reminders of who you pretended to be. Enjoy the silence. I did. She stood in the doorway, stunned. Like the wind had been knocked out of her. The house was quiet, so quiet it rang in her ears. And for the first time, she felt what I'd been feeling for weeks: absence. That cold, suffocating emptiness you get when someone's body is there but their heart isn't. The difference now. She was the one left behind. She walked through the apartment like a ghost retracing memories, opening drawers I'd already cleared, calling out my name even though she knew I was long gone. She dropped to the floor next to the table, holding that note like it might burst into flames. Her hands trembled. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Because there was nothing left to say. No grand gesture would undo this. No apology could rebuild what she'd so carelessly torn down. She thought she could laugh off my pain, flirt through my discomfort, and dare me to walk away like I never would. But now, she wasn't just missing me. She was surrounded by everything I left behind. And haunted.